customer contact on this call. And then we're going to optimize our marketing lead generation, again, through our social media tools with Facebook and Twitter and email, but also with our JV partnership opportunities. So step one, which is inspiring customers to choose us, inspiring students to choose us. And so optimizing market content and tech platform has basically 3 buckets of work. And on the slide after this, I have the actual tactical next steps around all 3 of the steps we're going through in terms of the sales funnel. So we need to create, and I'll be leading this, the development of a marketing sales presentation. So at the end of beta, our 7-week program, which began in mid-February and actually ends the last week, well, it ends the first week of April, actually, when you map out the 7 weeks. And so we want to then host a presentation where we'll invite all of our internal beta and global millennials and wisdom graduate list members, community members, but also we'll be inviting all of our joint venture partners to a call that we'll be hosting at the end of beta. And I'll be creating a marketing sales presentation and co-creating that with this team, because this team will get a chance to provide critical feedback in terms of what's responding and what needs to be clarified. Then we need to create marketing sales pages for every product. And this is a simple 1-page, this is actually a very straightforward process that will not involve our faculty at all, because Peter did such a nice job of pulling out the syllabus, and the syllabus has such rich information in terms of learning outcomes and deliverables and what the students can hope to achieve in the course. We'll be able to then work through and develop 1-page sales landing pages for each of our 8 courses, for each of our nano degrees, and each of our both bachelor and graduate degrees. And this is where eLauncher has a team that is led by their founder, Parthiv, but I met with his lead copywriter today. His name is Mike Connolly. And Mike Connolly just read, at Stephen Rulak's recommendation, just finished reading Paul Ray's book on the cultural creatives and had an aha moment and realized that he is a cultural creative, and he's actually thrilled to help us to tailor design our soulful approach to marketing. So it's nice to know we have a tribe member that's going to be able to resonate at our values in terms of helping us to co-create that authentic voice in the marketplace. And then the third piece is then taking all of this rich content in terms of sales pages and landing pages and then email campaigns and putting it all into an automated marketing platform that regulates it and puts it on autopilot. And then we just need to keep refining the content for each of the funnels that we create around each of our products. So before I go on, is there any questions or clarification questions on this? Again, I'm going to be getting into very tactical on who leads what and who's going to be doing what when. But again, I want to make sure that we're tracking on a conceptual level. Okay, I'm going to step 2.
Yeah, it's clear to me, Paul. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. Step 2 is the.
It sounds fantastic, Paul. It's wonderful.
Awesome.
Great job.
Thank you. Step 2 is the customers contact us. And in terms of optimizing our customer contact process, I know Bob and the team have done a wonderful job of really creating a simple application and process in terms of smart sheets and our forms. And so I think from here, Konstantina and I guess each team leader, I'd want to map out, this is where we'll need the most significant collaboration around how the marketing content that we're creating and the customer support process that we're working hand in glove in terms of how we can support you. I just for fun, before anyone gets too excited, this is just a playful idea, but every single website in terms of how to jump your conversions is to have a 1-800 number in the top right corner. That people want a live voice. It's really the Zappos model. This is where Zappos said human beings want to be able to talk to human beings. And so have a 1-800 number so human beings can talk to human beings. And I think at a philosophical level, at this, that's our intention, to create a wow experience. And again, we recognize how precious our resources are. But I'd love for us to, again, and this would be, and we can quickly identify how to, what the downstream in terms of the tactical next steps are for the team members. But I would love to see how quickly we could create a 1-800 number. It definitely doesn't have to be 1-800-LOVE-UBU, but it can be something that's very playful, very memorable, and something that sits in a very prominent place so that at any moment someone can pick up a phone and talk to a live voice. And then we just have to figure out, how do we resource ourselves to pay off that? With our global diversity, how can we be in a position to be able to have someone working to be able to pick up that live phone and have a live chat? So that's basically, I think, the big challenges here. And then I know when we get to this point, I'd like to hand it over to Constantina and to Bob and to everyone else who's working on the customer contact process to just give me their best thoughts and let me know what kind of support you need from me. Then step 3 is that, again, knowing that we flipped the funnel on its head, is once we have the house in order, once we have all of our marketing content all organized into an automated platform. But the automated, for example, how that works is when you receive an email, and the email is really compelling. It has a piece of information that says, hey, do you want to learn how to successfully develop new habits? And the email catches you with the subject line, you open it up, and it's well thought out, and you recognize the teacher has some significant expertise, and you click, and there's a free call, and then you go to the free call, and you sign up, and the free call's in a week, and then you get emails. We know how this process works, and we do it with our own Wisdom online courses. So it's all of those touch points being automated with all of the emails and an automated responder series, and having each person that signs up for our newsletter, that they're welcomed into a conversation around the mythic story of Ubiquity and the mythic story of this moment in time. So all of that would be going into one simple automated engine that we just, again, need to keep working to tweak our content and revise our content. So optimizing our marketing lead generation, we're going to be looking at 3 different ways in terms of developing organic traffic. Again, we're in a position where we are bootstrapping, we are being creative, we are being generative. We don't have a media budget where we can just go out and buy laser-focused Facebook or Google display ads, which we eventually will, and we'll become very good at that in terms of driving traffic to the top end of the funnel. But in the short term, we're going to get very generative and very creative in terms of how we leverage our relational wealth. So we'll be focusing on our Ubiquity global learning community, on both our beta community, which is the 300 plus members, and then our Facebook is now up to about 800 likes. We have 500 people in our private Facebook group. I'm getting about 5 requests, unaided requests a day from people joining our Facebook group. And our closed Facebook group, so it's above and beyond our beta group, people just want in based on the content that we're generating within Facebook and within Facebook and Twitter. And we also want to reach out to our Wisdom community, the powerful group that shows up on a monthly basis for the community calls. And we know that's the most active part of our list. We know our list for Wisdom is about 10,000, but we know there's basically 17 to 2,500 that are very active, very engaged. And so we want to reach out and nurture that group as well, and inspire them to take some of our courses and inspire them to help recruit people for our courses. Then we have our JV partnerships. I've created a JV list 1.0, and I want to have everyone on the call reflect over that, and then quickly, once I transmit it into the ecosystem, just flood back some of the names that you are most excited about to be able to top down organically go out and help and endorse or engage your networks to help recruit for Ubiquity. And then the third piece is the social media, which Raji, Jack, Kinsey, and myself have been leading around Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, and then Snapchat. So here's our primary action steps that we're going to be needing to do between now and May 4th. And there's obviously under each one of these, there's a ton of tasks. And but what I wanted to do is just give people a real sense of the dates in terms of milestones and the lead person in terms of responsibility. So our goal is our course ends, our beta course ends basically on April, I believe it's the 4th. And we wanted to be able to have everyone have an opportunity to complete the course, because one of the things we're excited to announce on the live call is the winner of our $10,000 US dollar scholarship, based on people who had completed the most content within the course, had gone through the most modules, had earned the most badges, and really put that effort. We really want to identify that person and reward that person. So we need to let them go the whole way, right to the end of the finish line, so that we can then audit their performance and then identify the candidate that's most willing. And I think we're excited that there's a real marketing opportunity, just an authentic opportunity to say that you need to be on the call. If you're at the end of beta, if you are going to be able to accept and receive your $10,000 scholarship. So I think it'll give a lot of people incentive to be on the call. Finalize. Yep.
Just, I guess, one bit of good news and one maybe not so good. We started a week late, so we're ending a week late. So to give people a chance to complete the whole course, we won't finish until, what is it, it's going to be 6 days then, the 13th or so, 12th or 13th of April. So that's got to go out a week if we want to give people time to actually finish the programs within the 7 weeks. And then the pricing has probably changed since that original conversation. So the MBA is now $12,000 and the Exec MBA is $9,000. So if you want an MBA scholarship, that means you get to give somebody $12,000 instead of $10,000. This is a good thing.
Right. For me, Peter, actually, the model in terms of the digital marketing model is really the closer you can get to your start date of May 4th, the more powerful and impactful it is. So if we need to push that call date out, it just gives us more time to bring more JVs into the call. And at the same time,
right, you can push it out a week.
Right, and we just need to then,
to the 17th, to the 14th.
And what we really need is just a 2-week conversion cycle. So once people have had the live call, then we're also going to be hosting digital versions of that live call. And we can just continuously be running that digital webinar that we'll get to edit and create a real wow experience of Ubiquity continuously after our live call. So then so thank you for that, Peter. So we'll adjust accordingly. So then we need to finalize our JV list 1.0 with the UU leadership team, and so we'll be seeding that today, and then we just need to get people to we just need to decide how we're going to activate our partners in terms of, for example, with Georgie, if Georgie has, one of her partners is Urban, and Urban has a substantial list, and so then I would need to connect over the course of the week and finalize what kind of support Georgie would like in terms of being able to get the tools in place so that Urban can then communicate our offering to his list and have all the emails and banners and support and that he would need to be able to communicate to his list on our behalf sometime within those last 2 weeks of those last 2 weeks of April. Freudian wish slip there. So so you'll see when we get to the next couple slides around the JV list, where it's just a matter of us quickly this week nailing down an action plan on who does it make most sense to connect with. So Georgie could say, Paul, based on your understanding of all the materials and all the things that need to happen, I will comfortably introduce you. I already know Urban, but I'll connect you to who does that for Urban in his organization, and you two can take it from there. Or you can say, Paul, give me all the tools and I will make it happen. And so we can do that for each joint venture partner, and we need to finalize that this week. Finalizing our marketing roadmap with eLaunchers. So again, I'll be going up to Washington, D.C. to partner with eLaunchers, a gentleman by the name of Partiv Shah, and then the rest of the Ubiquity members that I mentioned before. Then we're going to be finalizing our live call email invite campaign and the opt-in page. So this is just creating a nice page that will that people then when we send the invite to people, where we'll have the official letter with the invitation with a link to an opt-in page. So when we load the invitation email letter, we will then have a link. It will click through to a very professional, clean-looking, Ubiquity branded opt-in page that will give them all the information and sign them up for the call. It will also have some, conversion content on the opt-in page, so to, really inspire people to say yes. There's a lot of slippage between people clicking the link that just says, "Oh, I'm just signing up for a call," and then actually saying, "You know what? Maybe I'll sign up for the call," but we have some of that copy in the email, and then some of that copy will be even further reinforced on the opt-in page. So then we finalize our email campaign to the opt-in list. So that's a series of 8, anywhere from 5 to 8 emails that will go out over the next 2 weeks once the person has opted in, to inspire them, to make sure there's a couple that inspires them to come to the call, and then the remainder of that email sequence comes after they've gone to the call, in terms of if they buy a course immediately or a degree from us, then they drop out of that opt-in bucket list. But if they haven't immediately purchased, then we get an opportunity to have a conversation and keep giving them more content and more value in terms of how they could, why this course may make sense for them now. And again, this is that soulful approach to marketing. The marketing technology platform is neutral, it's agnostic, and so it's not a predatory marketing machine by itself. It actually follows whatever content and messaging and consciousness that we put into it, and in terms of our frequency, in terms of not spamming people or not slamming people, we will again be working with eLaunchers to develop our unique, soulful approach to marketing in terms of finding that right balance so people don't feel hounded. And so that's that next step around the email campaign. Then we have to finalize the JV banners and the email copy and the affiliate tracking, if affiliate tracking is necessary, to get someone to communicate or blast for us, and that will again be me and eLaunchers. EL stands for eLaunchers. Finalize the live call presentation and the sales page on March 27th. And that's me. JV partners send email invitations to the live call. So I'll be coordinating that, just in terms of that's for basically 1 week ahead of the call. The whole idea is to create a sense of anticipation in the marketplace where there's a buzz. That for that 1 week leading up to the live call, that you're getting emails from all of the different tribe members reminding you that there's a really cool call coming up. And it has a lot of value around helping you get to. And the free call will have a title somewhere around, really positioning Ubiquity as a brand, Ubiquity as an institution, but also Ubiquity as a solution provider. And that we recognize your primary aspiration is to be this independent global citizen, is to have this, life of autonomy and meaning and impact. And so the call will be designed around giving you the solution you've been waiting for, to have that, get the skill set and the mindset and the tool set and the mentorship support and the community support you need to be able to finally live that life, that self-directed life, and that life of contribution that you've always known is there for you. That's the primary core of this message. And then we we'll finalize our social media content promoting the live call, so we'll be also using Facebook and Twitter and Instagram by that time, and Kinsey Buckley and Jack Polakar will be leading that under my direction in terms of developing that content. And if you want a flavor of what the authentic voice of Ubiquity looks and feels like, just keep tracking and keep liking and keep sharing the content on our public page. We're getting a lot of I just got a thing. Did someone Skype me to say I need to go quicker? I got my screen up, so I couldn't get a Skype. So if that was a prompt to say move faster, then I can move faster. In terms of finalizing I just really wanted to build us a common foundation so that we all feel a sense of ease, of an alignment and resonance and coherence around what needs to happen over these next weeks and how we can support each other to make it happen. So the next is, so again, just go to our Facebook pages and also sign up to follow our Twitter if you're involved with Twitter at all. If you're not, then just signing up for Facebook and plugging in is a great way to get a sense of that voice, both on our closed group page, but also on our public page. We want everyone in the public page that doesn't have access to the closed group page to feel the love when they see liking and sharing happening. Then we're going to finalize the digital webinar from the live call recording. So I'll be working closely with Rick Buckley. Ideally, Rick, between whatever the 3 days after the live call, that we'll be turning that into an irresistible piece of digital content. And then we'll be driving traffic to the digital webinar through our joint ventures from April 13th and beyond. So the joint ventures will be coming to the live call, but we'll also have joint ventures that weren't able to activate their lists or their communities in time for April 7th. They're also going towards our digital recording and from April 13th all the way through May 4th, all the way through the rest of the summer. And then finalizing our social media promoting digital webinars. So then Jack and Kinsey will be leading all of our content development post the live call. And then we have our May 4th soft launch again on May 4th, and the entire marketing team and our entire leadership team will be leading us to that successful soft launch with our 1,000 courses and our 500 students. So this is basically my last two slides. So the JV partner list 1.0. I've identified the partner, the lead contact within the partner, and the lead contact from Ubiquity. And I have positioned myself as the lead in terms of having one person negotiate the wealth exchange in terms of, and ideally the wealth exchange could potentially be a swap. I'm going to be going for swaps out the door in terms of you blast for us, we'll blast for you, and that we don't have to negotiate any kind of affiliate fee. I'll be working closely with Jim Hickman and Lauren and the finance team, and also with Partiv, who has a real financial background in terms of being able to completely tune into our business model in terms of what can we afford to be and to pay to acquire a lead, to pay to acquire a prospect, to pay to acquire a student. That'll be all driven by our economics coming out of our business model. So then we'll determine whether we can offer someone 30% or what we can offer them in cases where someone definitely needs and requires an affiliate percentage before they'd be willing to blast to their list on our behalf. So to fly through the list, we're looking at all the different integral communities. And so what I'm going to do after this call is I'm going to post this immediately into a Google Doc and invite everyone to have access to the Google Doc, and then you can just add your key your relational wealth in terms of your network partners, and just add them into this table. We'll have a bunch of empty slots where people can just say, hey, these are the 3 to 5 groups I'm most excited about. And then what I may also do is put one more column in terms of whether you want to take the lead on negotiating the relationship, or if you want me to take the lead. So that will be another column that you can expect to find. So we have the Intelligent Optimist with Carol Greenhouse. We have Paul Ray, who has a substantial following with his climate destabilization blog. And we have Impact Hub on a global basis. We have the Nexus Global Youth Group. We have the Ashoka Changemakers. We have Lohas. We have McLean Masters. We have Eben Pagan, who is a very conscious digital marketer transformed, who would be very powerful for us to partner with. We potentially have Age Nation, depending. I know they're in a very busy launch mode themselves. We have Dwayne Elgin, who has a substantial following. We have Peter Senge, we have Otto Scharmer, we have Richard Barrett, we have Spiral Dynamics, we have Irvin Laszlo, we have David Martin. And we have all of our faculty. We have Henry Doss, who is working with Forbes magazine as a writer. And so these are the different contacts. So I'm going to continue to populate this list. And again, the goal is to reach out and make contact with as many of these people this week before I jump out to DC next week, so that we have made contact, we've made them aware, and we've nurtured the relationship. A lot of times we know these people, and it's just a matter of following up and give them the window of when we would love for them to be able to communicate to their lists on our behalf. So again, this is going to go up on. I'm going to put the entire presentation up as a Google Doc as well, so people have access to it, but I'm also going to send it to you as an attachment in PowerPoint, so you have access to this deck. And within it, I just want to highlight as a final thing, there's some really interesting statistics that I think each team member would be good for you to fly through on your own around how we can optimize enrollment. And this is specifically for higher education. I got this from a higher education marketing content partner, or I guess they're not. That's their goal. They want to partner with higher education around marketing. But very interesting stats around, for example, third from the bottom, 90% of consumers rank live chat extremely useful for purchase decisions. 50% of consumers choose to do business with the company that calls back first. So you have a 50-50 chance if you call back first of actually winning that student into Ubiquity. 49% emailing new contact within 20 minutes boosts your conversion rates by 49%. So when we think of our customer contact center, these are the metrics that we need to build into. 50%. There's one about the phone number, the importance of the phone number. But again, I won't go through these right now. But the enrollment strategy, there's things that we need. I will be leading the team, making sure all of these checklists in terms of optimizing our Discover Stage 1 in terms of how people discover us, how we optimize contact, and again, Constantina and Bob and your team, there's a lot of really good reminders here in terms of building key success criteria and metrics for our contact center. And then how customers choose us. And again, around always making a great impression, listening to incoming calls to see how our staff is handling the phone, nurturing leads, paying special attention to hot leads, tracking our customers' purchasing path to see what works and doesn't. These are all best practices that we want to be aware of in our design right from the beginning. So that's it. You also see, once we do have a media budget, this is how we propose to allocate our marketing media budget in terms of print production, in terms of pay-per-click, in terms of content, social media, website optimization, and mobile, all the way down to email marketing and blogger influence. So this is how we're going to divide up our budget. And just in terms of I've created the one-pager that we've talked about. I have it in a Google Doc in terms of the copy. And I'm working with Raji. We want to create some print material, and both the one-pager, which will obviously be most cost-effective, but we also agree that Raji's going to get a cost, what it would cost to create a high-gloss brochure, and how cost-effective that might be for us in Sri Lanka. We would only print a limited number of them for specific meetings where we really think a high-gloss brochure would really help open the door in terms of a print. And the front cover would basically be this slide. Then the next two slides would be around from our website. Our website really is a digital brochure. At this point, our landing page, when you scroll down the landing page, that's really a high-level digital brochure. And so what we want to do is grab the most powerful slides. A couple are missing in terms of the Ubiquity difference and the buzz around the need of our time and an idea whose time has come. And with McKinsey and the IBM study and Clayton Christensen. So we identified the 6 most compelling slides that we could put into a high-gloss brochure that we could then print only when needed recognizing our bootstrapping situation, but where it's relevant that we're ready to push go in any country to be able to have somebody have this high, to cost it so locally and figure out how they can go create, 5 or 10 or whatever you need. So we want to give those materials to you. And so in closing, my final request to you is just, I would love your feedback. I'd love your thoughts and reflections, your questions, and most importantly, what do you need from me to be able to go out and activate your networks? What kind of tools do you need beyond the one-pager and beyond the brochure? What other kind of tools or support do you need to activate your network from a top-down organic measure? So that is it, my friends. I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. That was really something. Can you tell us quickly before you butt out what it is that we're going to be able to offer our joint partners, our JV partners?
Sure. We have, I don't know the exact percentage in terms of how high we can go in terms of splitting the cost price, but the goal would be, the immediate is we'd like to be able to offer some kind of swap, and we'd have to work with the Wisdom team in terms of our community wealth, but we have a list of 10,000, and we don't want to hammer that list. We've always honored that list by not aggressively promoting to that list, but if the partners were high-value content, which I think they would be, and that our list would appreciate seeing, then ideally, Paul, what we'd like to do is a swap, that you blast to your list, and most of those lists probably won't be greater than 10,000, and we'll blast to our list, or we'll do, and you also get Ubiquity social media to 1,000 people. That's right now the first. Now, if the next level, if that doesn't work, if that's not a fit, then from working with the finance team, I want to see if we can get up to anywhere maybe 20 to 30%, where we could offer some kind of whatever makes sense within our business model that we would be able to then offer in that split. And I can't commit to that number until I work with the finance team.
Okay,
Paul, what would be really useful is to have what should we be including in our communication to any potential partners? If you were able to create a Google Doc that had, just content we could potentially cut, paste, adapt for an email to people, that would be very useful. Copy.
Yeah, I agree.
I think also what we want to know is to think through the process of which partners do we want to make an altruistic shared values approach to before we start offering something. If you start off by making an offer of a swap of the lists or a share in profits, that immediately biases the result in the direction of what's in it for me. If you talk shared values first, then you can always go over to what's in it for me if that's the way they approach it. But if you start with what's in it for me, you can't get to shared values and having them offer to give you something that would be at a lower price or whatever.
Extremely well said. And we have from our partner Paul that reinforces exactly what you just said. It's a simple 7-step approach to JV. It's the joint venture blueprint, success blueprint. And it does. It says start with shared values and shared vision, and then get into looking for that potential wealth exchange. And but really start around the shared vision and getting a sense of what they're trying to communicate. You'll find, and within our community, there'll be a real opportunity around those shared values that someone may immediately just said, I would love to communicate that to our list. And then if the unaided question comes back, and then what can you do for me, then we're also very in a good position to start going into our bag of wealth and starting with a swap and then working down from there.
Yeah. So you have that already laid out for us. Is there going to be somebody we can talk to before we start making the contacts?
Well, I propose that for each person over the course of this week, either you could, if you want to take the lead on your own, then I can provide all these tools. Like Peter was saying, I can, provide that kind of a script in terms of what that should look like in terms of an approach. Or if you want, you can then ask me, and introduce me to the contact, and I can go and have that conversation with them. So we can play either way, Paul.
Okay. I just think that everybody who's on the call needs to be able to think through for themselves what the options are, and they needed to hear this from us.
Yeah, no, perfect. So I will also post and share as a link that the JV Blueprint for Success, which has 7 steps in terms of our mindset. I couldn't turn it into a slide in this deck, but I will send it as a separate attachment, because you can really build your brain around these 7 very simple, very common sense, how you would approach having this conversation. I'll also type them out and put them in the Google Doc, so it's available in multiple forms.
Yeah, well, more skillful information is always better.
Perfect.
So, skillful means. Send out skillful means.
Very good.
Well, thanks, Paul. It's been really critical, as Jim said. This is the key next phase now, and we've got about 20 minutes left. There's a few other points we probably want to just touch base on briefly. Is there anybody else got anything urgent to ask Paul or comment on?
Yeah, Peter,
anything
this is
which
Rick.
they need. Hey.
Hey. Hey, Paul, thank you for that extensive and beautiful presentation. I think it inspired us all to go out and do the work that needs to get done. I recorded your presentation, so if people on the call or other people want it, I'll post it just for internal use on the YouTube.
Awesome.
And then the second thing is, with the blogging strategy that you outlined a couple months ago, I was curious where we are with that, because I do spend a lot of time in that blogging world. Should we go after individual bloggers with the messages that you were just talking about, or do you have that in your game plan?
I do, and I'm just looking this week to finalize that with Raji. We're down to the final strokes in terms of a recommendation of what that strategy would look like, and we have so much, so many assets within our community, and so we'll have that finished and executed this week in terms of us being able to go and it's one part outreach, but it's also us setting up our own blog. So that within the blog, now the blog typically is a longer relationship build. With the blog, you're not immediately trying to promote Ubiquity. Ideally, the blog is supposed to win over an audience because you bring incredible insight and value and context to people, and you earn their trust because you're not immediately trying to sell them. So the blog wasn't part of this presentation because we're not going to be able to start a blog that way. But the blogger outreach, our first round wasn't very successful in terms of getting reaction. So I have to admit that did kind of dampen my spirits in terms of, with our limited resources, how much time I would put into doing a second round of outreach. But I'm open to it.
Paul, did you find out why the bloggers weren't responding? Was it that because we're not actually active on the scene yet? Was something like that, or something else?
I don't know. I sent out our first press release to the most significant impact people that talk about the press release was around Ubiquity reinvents competency-based education, and so I cherry-picked all of the top bloggers that are really focused on competency-based, and for whatever reason didn't receive a response back. I don't know if they're just slammed because of the volume, because they're within the top 50 but I didn't even get a sample of feedback back, as no one would get back. So I don't know why they didn't get back to me, short of that they're either too busy or we didn't seem relevant enough, which I can't imagine.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments, questions to Paul before we move on?
Paul, I just had a quick comment. This is phenomenal. It's really wonderful, and the time you put into this, I know we all greatly appreciate. It's great, wonderful. I had a question about the slides that you had put up about customer service tips, and strategies for Bob and myself as we're working with the potential students who call in. I just like to make sure that Bob and I get a copy of that definitely, and also the YouTube clip's going to be great to review. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you. Will do, definitely. And just Peter, just the most critical next step, guys, is getting. I'd like to set if we could, a deadline with today, Tuesday, and I'd love it if everyone by end of day tomorrow. I'll send the link right after this call, and if by end of day tomorrow, if everyone could make a commitment to just put in the key partners that they want to connect with in their network, and then I'm going to add a comment column, like I mentioned before, but even more open-ended to Paul Ray's kind of feedback, just in terms of recommended action plan, whether you want, whether you feel comfortable with the content and tools that I provided to reach out on your own, or whether you feel like you would want to have a powwow session with me, which I would make myself available for this week, or if you want a powwow session and then you make contact, or it could be a powwow session and then you hand over the contact. And we may not even need to talk. You could just send me an email and say, hey, Irvin would love to hear about this. Irvin's on board. Please contact this person in Irvin's organization and make it so. So I can't be more clear. We need to get this done this week. And we need to have all of the relational wealth audited into this one Google Doc that I'll send out by end of day tomorrow, if humanly possible.
Loud and clear. Okay, good. Thanks for that, Paul. That's kind of built on Jim's call for all of us to really get involved in this. Let's see, what are the key things we should cover? Griff, have you got any updates just from the tech side that people need to know about for now?
Yeah, so basically the last, basically since Monday, we've been trying to anticipate some of the issues that Andrew alluded to, and the update is that we've got the reporting live and functional now. As of last night, we were just running them manually, but now I've got them on demand available to you and other faculty members like Andrew. So that was a big win for us that happened earlier this morning. So I guess other than that, no, just you and I are going to do an audit. We've gone through I think it was like 163 or 158 items as of late last night. And I think over half of them are solved, and we're starting to put together the FAQ file. But no, it's all basically about customer service right now. So things are just step by step getting better. One question at a time. So nothing sexy, nothing sexy to report. But in the end, it's a good thing.
But does that what you found about the reporting thing, does that mean that there's basically a link on the site we can go to see an overview of students' progress, or do you guys still need to generate?
No, now it's on the site now, so you can only see it if you're a faculty member. But here I can share my screen.
So you'll just send us a note with you about how to access that.
Yeah, I'll just give it to you. We're going to do that call after this one.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Brilliant.
Hey, Griffin, can you hear me? It's Andrew speaking.
Hey, Andrew. Wow, how are you?
Hey, I just appeared. I have a question. Can you make sure that our faculty profiles on the are linked to the course? Like, for example, when you click on like Andrew Kornfeld, like my faculty profile, it's not linked to my profile on the platform?
Yeah, I think you have two profiles. So just message me or friend me on the platform so I know which one you're using, and I'll make sure that happens.
Okay, thanks so much.
Sure, of course. Nice to hear your voice.
And I also heard you say that you're going to send Peter and myself an email about how we can look at submitted assignments and essentially the back end.
Yeah, I'll go one better. If you check the text box right now, I just pasted the link into the the GoToMeeting chat. So if you're logged in with your faculty account, you should be able to just click that
link. Let's deal with this later, Griff. It's taken me to a strange login page, so let's work it out in our call afterwards.
Log into the platform first and then click that link with your.
And
we have to log in first.
Yeah.
Oops. And I would just say one more thing. I don't know. There's a lot of people on this call. I'm not sure if this is appropriate for everyone who's on this call, but I would just say I just want to clarify how students are going to be submitting assignments and maybe simplify that, because I know there's like discussion forums, there's like blogs and journal entries, and then there's, when you click, there's a way to submit on top of that. So it's there's very many ways for students to submit things. And on my syllabus, as I was telling Peter on a call we were having yesterday, I just sort of vaguely say submit. So we need to think about how we're going to be asking students to submit things, and that it's analogous with the syllabus that we have.
Yeah, I've pulled together an initial protocols document that I invited you to, Andrew, that has all of that kind of information in it. So I'm going to review that with Griffin, and that should iron out those kind of problems. Feel free to take a look at it and comment on it if you want.
Great. Review that and send it my way, and I'll happily edit my syllabus and help out with anyone else's syllabus so it follows that document.
Sounds
great.
Good.
Thank you.
Peter and
cool, thanks, Griff. Yeah.
This is Bob.
Hello.
Do you think this is a good time to? Last I heard, about half of the beta testers never fully engaged, or maybe never even got on the platform. Do you think it's a good time to re-engage those folks? Say that now it's easier to get on and set up some pods for them to start now.
I think we can say to them, no, in fact, I'd encourage them to join existing pods, because one, it'll boost some of the participation in the current pods, and two, students who've already maybe been through some of those earlier content can also kind of reflect together with the new students on it. So that'll make for, I think, maybe a more interesting dynamic, and can maybe also help them through any challenges that they're having. So let's populate the existing pods first, and if we find they're getting too full, then we can add some.
Okay, but it's an outreach to those who didn't launch. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
You mean to try, let's say,
so
I'm not quite sure what the latest numbers are, but go ahead, Griff.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, with one caveat, and I saw your email just come through, Bob, and the thing is, I think it's sort of a chicken and egg thing. Like if we have 100 people or something like that who haven't signed in or gotten online, I think trying to divide them up into separate pods is probably a mistake, just because they probably didn't get on for a reason. So, but putting them all into one group that we message specifically might be a sufficient carrot to get some people involved, and then we could take a measurement of the traction that we get with them, and then divide them up into pods. But I like your instinct of basically having a second track of sort of late starters, who are getting off just now. So getting started just now. So I think that's probably doable. What is your thinking, Bob?
Well, I would love to get as many of these 330 folks partway through the courses, so that we can then start talking to them about buying March and May courses.
Got it. Yeah.
If they are frustrated and they never got started, they're not going to be interested in a conversation about buying a May course.
Right.
Enrolling in the university.
I think it's worth us going to the percentage of them, of the 300 who haven't actually registered on the platform, going to them and getting them onto the platform, because they might have, as you say, bumped into some problems initially and not made it, and yet now it's very easy. But that we could try, but then I don't know, Griff can provide a list of everybody who actually got onto the platform, but then somebody's going to have to do the comparison with the original 330 list.
Well, if you send me those two lists, I'll I'll do the comparison.
Is it
And I have
possible to provide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it possible to
We'll
provide
send
Bob
you.
with
We'll
that?
send you that list. Yeah, definitely. You and I can. We can get it together for him in the next call after this. Peter, that link wasn't going to work for you anyway because you're not faculty in Andrew's course. I'll get you your own link.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Peter,
Okay.
could I make a comment?
Yeah.
This is Jim to Bob's question. I just want to say that, I mean, from my point of view, this 320 is an extremely valuable list, and if nearly half of them didn't come on the site for whatever reasons, I think we need to find out why if we can, and I would think that maybe you, Bob, Constantina, and maybe me should have a quick call. Maybe we discuss it on Thursday or sooner, but I think we should think through our communication to them in a way that maximizes our probability of getting them on the site. Because I know Paul and the team went to great lengths to get them even to sign up. So how we communicate with them now, I think, needs to be fairly carefully thought through. And, you know, Bob, were you going to do the draft of the note to them? Was Constantina doing it? Is there a draft that we could look at, or were you just making a suggestion?
There's no draft yet, but Constantine and I can get you one, Jim.
Jim, I was just getting ready to address this very same thing, and I know one thing I've really learned from Peter and working with him, especially as I've seen him interacting on our help desk ticket issues, really addressing everyone that we're going to be reaching out to from a very authentic place within us, where we know the value of our product and what it can do for the lives of the people who engage with us is so important. And I've seen Peter somehow within himself express this in writing to the individuals that we're trying to help with their technical issues. So this is an extremely important part of our entire process. So I know that when we do start to write this, I'm hopeful that that will come out. And also when we're engaging with people on the phone, that really has to come through as well. So if everyone could start thinking about that, it'd be terrific.
Yeah, and Paul, up until now, you've really coordinated kind of communication to the beta testers and things. If we were going to draft a note to, you know, those who have not made it from the original beta sign up onto the platform, is that something you and Raji would want to put together? Or?
We can, if you give us the, you know, kind of the bullet points.
Copy.
Yep. If you get even bullet points, because we can shape it, or, you know, you do have a, you know, you all have a wonderful voice. You're all incredibly articulate, so you can do, just send us whatever you want, and we can put it into the consistent tone. For example, we have in the pipeline, Raji, we just agreed, and he created an email to highlight our our personal development self-mastery tools and platforms, so that people could really, you know, at the very least, go in and really take advantage of all of the different things in personal development and self-mastery. And if we had that email queued up for tomorrow, but we can hold that, or also have that be part of, you know, the overall message that we send out, saying, hey, you know, still a great time to get started, and, you know, to sample some of the great content, even if you don't finish the course. Get in there and, like, just what everyone's saying, we can do that. Mm-hmm. And we can also highlight the self-mastery personal development. I'm guessing it should be in one aggregated email, but it sounds like it, right?
Yeah, it sounds like, Paul, you with that email you've got planned for tomorrow, if you just added a little bit which said something like, you know, having surmounted the challenges or whatever, you know, initially, it's now very easy to get onto the platform. You know, you don't have to take a whole course. You can just browse, you know, some content here. So if you haven't been on the platform yet, we'd really encourage you to get on, check it out, blah, blah, blah. I think that would kind of, wouldn't that do it, Bob?
Yeah, I would make it as strong a encouragement as you can. because they met some frustration and they're going to need to be enticed.
So Paul, what would you like to do as the next step there? Do you want to just provide a little bit of draft of that and just get kind of me, Paul, Constantina's feedback or something? You're muted.
That sounds great.
Yes,
I'm certainly willing to
we can
help
take
with
the
it
lead
any way
on
I
that
can.
and just adding.
Yep.
Okay. I heard you just say, Paul, just adding a little bit.
Yeah.
And Jim, do you still want to pull a meeting together within the next day or two?
No, I think since Paul's already got a communication going out, that's excellent.
Okay, great.
And I think if we just tweak it, but I would just make a general point that we should all bear in mind. You know, we've got all these technical issues that Griffin and Peter are totally on top of and working through. And between now and the end of beta, we also have to have a very proactive, I would say almost emotional outreach and nurturing outreach, as you indicated, with the students that are in the beta system now, and obviously do what we can, as Bob's suggesting, to get the 130 or 40 who haven't signed up to do so, because and Paul, you may have a completely different point of view here, but as I view it, you know, getting a conversion from 320 beta testers into May is probably one of our most potentiated groups. So really concentrating on, and maybe there's a subgroup, you know, of Peter, Andrew, Constantina, me, whoever, that really just focuses on the beta with the TAs, with a view now of making their second half, you know, as wow as we can make it, so that we have a really high conversion, because they're already in. The others we've got to kind of attract, but these guys we got 320. Heck, I mean, 500 is not very far from 320 if we could get us, you know, 60, 70, 80% conversion of the beta test. So I think we really need to think this through on a week-by-week basis, so that by the time they finish, they're saying to themselves and to each other, this was an incredible experience, and I love the way Ubiquity staff is treating me. So, I mean, how we do that, I'm not sure. Peter, you may have a plan, but it's certainly something that in my mind is one of our highest priorities now.
Jim, the kids or the students or the adults, whoever I contact when I write them, you cannot believe how thrilled they are to receive an email. And they are extremely expressive about how much they appreciate hearing from us. So I just highly recommend and affirm everything you just said. Nurturing is the name of the game when it comes to education these days.
Yeah. I'm just noting Max. Note just came in that she's still having trouble. So, Mac, we need to get you connected up with Peter soon so you can get on, because Mac needs to know about it, because she's coordinating everything in Mexico. So, but so to answer your question about a meeting, you know, I maybe let's put this. We've got what's going out Wednesday, but I'm going to put this as a real agenda item for our Thursday call, so we can get a real internal coherence for our, I would say, beta test support group and strategy for the balance of the time. I think it'd be well worth thinking the whole thing through.
Jim, I couldn't agree more. It's they are our gold. They are the closest in. You know, they are our hot leads. They are the ones that have you know, we're already in relationship with. So, and really getting to understand, you know, what their experience was, and just, and how can we continue to, it is that key word, nurture this relationship with them, in terms, because they came here with an expectation, they came here with an aspiration. For some of them, it's been completely fulfilled. For some of them, we need the story in terms of why they didn't join us, and what can we learn from there. And in the spirit of Zappos, how do we surprise and delight? If they did have a negative situation, how do we give them a wow, so that they're like, wow, I'm actually grateful
Exactly.
this happened.
Oh my word. The gold that we have in faculty, who are well-known people who have not been very active participants, like Gene Houston and so on, is an even more important gold than these participating students. Who's going to take the lead in contacting various faculty for various email lists that they might have?
I've got them on my list, Paul. I would love to do that. I completely agree. All of those we do. I had some of them listed, but we need to go basically. I mentioned Henry Doss. I had you. We got Wayne Visser. We got David Martin. But we need to go through person by person and just reach the faculty.
That is such a great idea. I was at Andrew Harvey's seminar this past week in California, and there were about 40, 50 people there, and every one of them wanted to hear more about Ubiquity. And I'm sure that, as you suggested, there would be many, many contacts through some of our wonderful teachers.
Well, we're top of the hour now, so just over, so we better leave it there. Any other last kind of urgent points, questions people have? Okay. We'll keep on going then and see you next week. Probably a lot of you before then. And hopefully see a lot of you on the platform. So get in there, knock around, introduce yourself to people, tell them that you're Ubiquity staff. Let people know. There's not a huge number active. So just bump into people, make friends with them on the platform. Just spend like 15 minutes a day, if that's all you can afford, on the platform, chatting to people and letting them know you're there, Ubiquity's present, and you care about them.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you all next week. I will ask everybody how many friends you made and who you talked to.
That's actually an excellent idea. That's an